Hey, Algebra 2. So this is starting Unit 7. So this is the last and final unit of Algebra 2. So get excited. So the first thing that I'd like for you to do is just pause the video. And for each question, you're going to determine whether it's a statistical question, non-statistical question, survey, experiment, or observation. So you'll pick between these two, and then you'll pick between these three for each question. Okay? And it's okay to get them wrong. It's okay. We're just kind of doing what do you know and then what do you don't know, essentially. So take a moment, try it on your own. All right, so hopefully you took a moment and you actually tried these questions. So in this unit, you're going to be asked about surveys, experiments, and observations. Those are three different things. So we're going to go through what those actually mean. So coming down here, okay, so we're going to read through the following situations, and a mathematician has responded to each situation with their understanding. Underline key thinking from the mathematician that will help you as you determine which method would be most effective. So the first thing that I'm going to do is kind of go over what exactly each word is. So for a survey, and hopefully see my chat box, they are sets of questions given to people to seek their responses. Okay, an observation is collecting data without influencing things directly, just observing something. And then experimental study is to collect data by directly influencing something to determine how another thing is changed. Okay, so if you need to pause the video and just kind of write those down in your notes, it's a good thing to have these written. So let's kind of go through some situations. Actually, we're going to go through a couple of examples, and if you need this, it'll be on your screen in just 1 second. Okay, so up at the top, those are the definitions. So let's go through the examples and then the rationale behind them. Okay, so this first one is a survey. So it says, why are students missing so much school in the districts? I'm going to get my little highlighter out really quick. Okay, a district administrator selects 300 students' names at random from the enrollment list and sends a letter to each student's home. The letter includes a page to be returned. Okay, so something that they have to turn in to their school, signed by a parent or guardian. The page asks, how many days has your school or has your student missed school this year? And what are the reasons? So they're just asking 2 questions. So this would be a survey because it's a set of questions that are given to people for their response. The design is okay since the names were randomly chosen, but there is a concern if all parents will return the form or they can recall the exact reason their student missed school. So this might have a little bit of biasy, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but this would definitely be a survey. Okay, an observational study, okay, which is down here, is what type of sweetener do flies prefer? A scientist puts the same amount of sweetener into different bowls of water and counts the number of flies that drink from each bowl. Okay, so they just kind of set something out and then just kind of counts them, right? So this would be an observational study because the scientist is providing 2 bowls with sweeteners and collecting data for which fly prefers. The design is good because the 2 options should provide specific data on which sweetener flies prefer. Okay. And there will be questions that ask you, is this a good study? So, all right, coming down here to the last one, which is the experiment. Okay, so is there a link between dark chocolate and weight loss when compared to milk chocolate? Nutritionists asked 5 friends to eat dark chocolate along with their usual food for 6 months, and other 5 friends to eat milk chocolate along with their usual food for 6 months. The nutritionist then compares their weight after 6 months to their weight before eating the different chocolate. This would be an experimental study because the nutritionist is influencing keyword is influencing, the diet of the participants to determine a specific change. The design is bad though. There are a few participants and they're all friends of the nutritionist. That means the study might not be able to determine the other variables such as specific diet or exercise. Normally, your friends tend to eat roughly the same thing as you, but that also is kind of influential as well. So those are the 3 different types that we're going to talk about. Now, back at the beginning, it was talking about statistical and non-statistical, and that's just really, can you pull data or can you not pull data? Is it just kind of, a yes or no question, or can you actually have like 80% of something happen, right? So let's go back to here. Sorry. There we go. So reading through it, go ahead and take a moment. If you don't want to listen to me read it, take a moment, read through them, and read what they say, and then underline the key thinking. That's going to help you determine this stuff. So go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own. All right. So again, we're going to underline the key thinking from the mathematician that will help you as you determine which method would be most effective. So the question is, do smokers get in more car accidents than non-smokers? Well, all right, we've got options. We got survey, we've got experiment, and we got observation, right? Well, observation is really not going to help. You can't really observe a smoker and be like, all right, wait for them to get in a car accident, right? And to run an experiment, we would have to ask somebody to smoke and then get in a car accident, right? Or it would kind of be unethical, and we're going to talk about ethics a little bit later, to ask somebody, hey, can you smoke and then go get in a car accident, right? So Alberto says that it's a survey, okay? So, like he said, it's unethical to ask people to smoke for an experimental study, so that's why it wouldn't be an experimental study. All right. Since most police reports would not include whether the drivers in the accident are smokers, a survey might be needed to collect information. So you could be like, hey, police officers, can you ask these people to, if they don't want to participate, they don't have to. But, police officers are going to be your easy access to accidents. All right. What is the student's favorite type of sport at this school? Okay, Catherine says survey, right? Really couldn't set up an experiment. You would force people to play all of the sports, and you probably couldn't do that. And then you really wouldn't want to observe, right? So the only way is to ask them directly, right? Do people who chew gum while studying do better on tests than when they chew gum while taking the test? When they don't chew gum while taking the test. So this has what was the influence of gum? So this will be an experimental study so that you can influence a variable such as chewing gum. Okay? So you will have to know how to pick without obviously a mathematician giving you the answer. But you kind of have to pick which one is the right way to collect data, or the most correct way, because you can do it with different things, but it may not give you the best results. So how has the percentage of the world's wealth owned by the top 1% of individuals changed over the past 300 years? So this would be an observational study, okay? And the data could be found or estimated based on records, but neither a survey nor an experimental study could be designed to produce data. You really couldn't be like, hey, how much do you make? And ask the people 300 years ago how they did that too, right? You couldn't go talk to the people 300 years ago. Do strawberry plants produce more fruit when growing in a greenhouse or outside? So again, this would be an experimental study, okay? And you're trying to see the influence, right? To assess the effect of one variable, right? And then what are the most important issues for voters in a district at the moment? That would be a survey. You would collect data without asking people about their preferences is not possible, so a survey is needed to understand their preferences. Okay? So, down here at the bottom, we have we have one more thing. Relaxing television. So go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, look at these, try to answer the questions, and then we'll go over it in just 1 second. Okay, so it says a study of 1,000 people aged 20 to 30 asked how much television each person watches each night and how each person would rate their energy level in the evening. The study showed that people who watch the television for at least 2 hours every night have lower energy in the evening than people who do not watch as much television. Is this study a survey, observation, experiment, and then explain your reasoning? So based off of our definitions over here, then this would be a survey, okay? Since the people were asked to provide data about themselves. Okay. 2, does that mean that watching television for at least 2 hours every night lowers your energy in the evening? Explain your reasoning. No. Okay. Since the data collected was a survey, it can only be an association. Okay, so we can't say that one causes the other to happen because we're not really sure whether these people are just frequent television watchers or non-frequent television watchers, or, you know, there's other things that are included in that. Okay. And then number 3, if you were to do your own experiment to determine if watching television for at least 2 hours every night lowers energy in the evening, how would you set up the experiment? One way to do this would be you find 100 people willing to participate, divide them into equal groups of 2 randomly. Okay, notice how I'm using these words like randomly and then, you know, how many groups. Okay, and then take initial survey of energy levels in the evening. Then one of the groups watch TV and the other doesn't, and then rate energy level in the evening to compare your results. Okay. All right, and you can take a look at this one. This is just something just kind of to extend your learning. So if you want to look at that, you can. But I'm going to go over this last little bit. So coming back to what we started with today, take a moment, try this again, see if your thoughts have changed, and then we're going to check our work. All right, so here is what I got. Did it pretty quickly, so check your work. So on this first one, do dogs who eat Purina dog food have more health problems than those who eat a variety of food brands? So I put this as observation because you can't really ask a dog like, hey, do you have any health problems? I guess you can maybe turn this into a survey, but I put it as an observation because you really can't ask those types of things from a dog. It's non-statistical because we're saying health problems, which is a generic. Okay. Do people who sit for at least 8 hours per day have more health problems than those who sit for fewer than 8 hours per day? Now, this could be a survey or an observation, because survey you could actually ask humans and be like, hey, you know, how many diseases or whatever do you have? Or how many health problems do you have? Which would be kind of unethical, so you might want to make it an observation, but it's kind of hard to observe what's going on internally. Which brand of dog food has the most protein per serving? That's going to be statistical, and then it's going to be an experiment. And then, do people who eat a low-fat diet feel healthier than those who eat a variety of foods? So that's going to be non-statistical, and it's just going to be a survey because you got to ask people. So hopefully